to you from Kansas City, Missouri. This is GovLove, a podcast about local government. I'm Lauren Palmer, the Director of Local Government Services for the Mid-America Regional Council, and your host for this episode. GovLove is produced by ELGL, the Engaging Local Government Leaders Network. You can support GovLove by becoming an ELGL member. Individual memberships are just $50 per year and give you access to incredible events, networking, and professional resources. Visit elgl.org to learn more about individual and organizational memberships and sign up today. Today I'm visiting with Tamara Lindsay, the Chief of Strategy at the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund, and Janae Bradford, the Director of the Office of Financial Empowerment and Community Wealth for the City of Tulsa, Oklahoma. We are talking about how local government systems and practices can enhance individual and family financial stability, and in turn build stronger and more resilient communities. Tamara and Janae, welcome to GovLove.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, and you are welcome. We are thrilled to have both of you on the pod. But before we start our interview, we are going to begin with a lightning round to get to know each of you a little bit better. So Janae, I'm going to start with you. Can you tell us about the first concert you ever attended?
So this question sent me down memory lane, so thank you for asking it. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, and we had a really vibrant local music scene there. And while I can't remember the exact show, it was most likely at this little place called the Ranch Bowl. It's an actual bowling alley, and it had a concert venue tacked onto the side, and a lot of local bands, and sometimes even some bigger bands would go through there. And my friends and I in high school spent a lot of time there listening to a lot of music, some of it great, some of it not so great. But that was definitely my first concert experience and really hold some fun memories during that time. So thank you for asking that question.
This sounds like such a cool place, and it was accessible to young people, like 18 and under.
Yeah, it was great. You just paid your entry fee in the front and you either went bowling or you went to the concert, or sometimes you could do both.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't think, does this place still in business? I'm like, I don't think places like this exist anymore.
It is not. It was heartbreaking to see that it's no longer there. So the Omaha youth of today do not get to experience the Ranch Bowl.
Okay, listeners, this is $1 million idea. If you want to get entrepreneurial
Absolutely.
and resurrect, bowling alley / concert venue. Sounds great. All right, Tamara, what about you? What was your first concert?
So it was in a little bigger place called Madison Square Garden, and I saw Fleetwood Mac in the late 80s, unfortunately without Stevie Nicks, but I didn't appreciate it at the time for sure, but now I'm really happy I got to see Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, great example. I'm a big Fleetwood Mac fan. Madison Square Garden, yeah, impressive venue. And you said you didn't appreciate it at the time. You weren't a Fleetwood Mac fan?
Was not a Fleetwood Mac fan, was way too young to know what I was seeing, and was highly annoyed that I was being dragged to this concert.
Oh my gosh.
And now feel like a fool.
Yeah, somebody did right by you to give you that early introduction, and now that's on you can check that one off your bucket list.
For sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, Tamara, I'm going to let you go first for this next question. What is something, it could be personal or professional, that you are really looking forward to in the next month?
So tonight I'm going to see Madonna in Madison Square Garden, which seems to be a theme. And I did a count with my friends yesterday and figured out this is the same group of people go, and this is the 9th concert tour we have seen of her since 1990.
Oh my gosh, you're a mega fan. So this is awesome. You're going tonight.
I'm going tonight.
I didn't even know Madonna was touring right now.
Yeah, and she starts very late, and I'm very old, so let's see how that all works out.
I mean, yeah, you got to just go all in, like sleep when you're dead. Like stroll in a little late to work in the morning.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've seen Madonna 9 times. Like, what's your best memory of her? Which one did you enjoy the most?
I got an opportunity a few years ago. A friend actually ended up working on her tour and got us up close and personal. And I was with 2 of my best friends who I've been friends with since junior high. And we thought we were going to melt, and we felt like we were 14 again. And so we screamed our hearts out. And might have shed a tear or two because we couldn't, our 14-year-old selves couldn't believe we were seeing her so close.
I mean, to find up close and personal, like, did you meet Madonna?
No, she does not meet us people.
All right. But you were like right up front.
Right up front.
You were in the same airspace with Madonna.
Yeah, I could see her sneeze and stuff. So.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Great story. Okay. What is something personal or professional that you are really looking forward to in the next month?
Yeah, so mine's not as exciting as Tamara seeing Madonna, but I'm going to go the personal route for this one as well. Next month, my daughter actually turns 12, and this feels very monumental. We're kind of at that end of an era, if you will. We're ending the little kid phase and moving into the teenage phase, and so it feels big as a mom, and so I'm both excited and terrified at the same time of what this last year of little kiddom will bring us and what's on the horizon in the teen years. So that's what's on my radar for the next month.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that. That really resonates with me. I have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old at home. So I am like right in
So you're
that
there. Yeah.
zone. Yeah. And it's like really within the last few weeks, my husband and I have just realized like we only have 4.5 years
Yeah.
left with our son at home. And yeah, like that seems like that time will really fly by. So I'm glad that you are kind of acknowledging this as a
Yeah.
monumental milestone and just congratulations. Enjoy that last year of the preteen era before
Yeah.
you get into that home stretch. Well, let's move to our final question. Janae, will let you go first. What was your best vacation and why?
Oh, my best vacation. I think for my little family, anytime a vacation includes the mountains, it makes all of us happy. And when all three of us are happy, that makes for a good vacation. So, a couple summers ago, we spent a week in the Rockies right outside of Durango, Colorado, and I think that was one of the most memorable trips we've had. Just fresh air, mountains, gorgeous scenery, wonderful time with some friends, and just relaxing, really, which was much needed. So, yeah, I think that's definitely our most memorable one recently.
Oh, that's so great. I love that Western Colorado area. That's my husband's family. They spend their time in Uray, which is like
Yeah.
maybe an hour north of Durango. Um, and I had never been to that part of the world before I married into my husband's family. My family was kind of beach people, but I have really grown to appreciate it. There is something just like majestic and calming about being in the presence of the Great Mountains.
Absolutely. There's something in the air.
Yeah, awesome. Great example. So, Tamara, what about you? What was your best vacation and why?
I had a different answer, and then hearing Janae's, I decided to pretend I'm an outdoorsy person. So my best vacation, one of my best vacations, was doing a bike tour of Zion National Park. It was a 4-day tour, and similarly, the majesty of natural wonders is just breathtaking. And so it was a little chilly. It was fresh air. It was a good group of people, and it was just awe inspiring to see that nature at its best.
Another great example, another beautiful area of the world. But now I got to know if you had another trip that was a contender for best vacation and that's the one that won out, what's the one you didn't share?
Well, I was going to pick my first post-COVID international trip, which is I went to Barcelona in the fall of last year, and I felt like a newbie traveling because I hadn't been out of the country in 4 years. So that was wonderful. I got to practice some Spanish, eat a lot of good food, discovered I loved vermouth, so just drank that as water the whole trip.
Another great example. That's a question we should ask people. Like, what was your first post-COVID trip? I think that would tell a lot about people how they recovered from extended cabin fever. So, Barcelona, not a bad excursion. Okay, well, thanks to both of you for sharing a little bit more about yourselves. And now we will just dive in to the heart of our interview. So, Tamara, I'm going to start with you. Tell us about your career path that led you into your current role at CFE Fund.
Sure. So I started working in public relations for a few years, and then I went to graduate school for my master's in public administration. And I wrote my thesis on the earned income tax credit, and sort of got really interested in those types of policy levers that we can use to support people and help people. And lucky for me, the year I graduated, there was this new office in New York City government called the Office of Financial Empowerment under Mayor Michael Bloomberg. It was housed at the Department of Consumer Affairs, and they had a job for a earned income tax credit program officer, and so it was, it couldn't have been more divine. And I applied, and luckily I got the job, and spent a few years there, and really took to the kind of commitment and innovation that can happen in local government, seeing people really care about the work they were doing, and wanting to make improvements to how the everyday lives of folks. And when this opportunity came at the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund, which I'll tell you a little bit about in a minute, I jumped at the chance to take the work that we were doing in New York City across the country, and letting other local governments tap into the ability to connect financial stability work to a lot of the other things that they were doing.
Okay, great. Thanks for sharing your background. I can just hear like your passion and enthusiasm coming through in your voice. And of course, that's what we celebrate here at GovLove. So can't wait to hear more about your work. So let's start there. Just share a little bit more about the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund.
So we are 12 years old. The Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund is a national nonprofit, and our focus is a narrow but very wide focus, which is on how to use the power of local government to financially stabilize residents. And so really tapping into things like how can the government use programmatic opportunities, policy opportunities, as well as connections to the community, to look at things like how do we provide one-on-one financial counseling? How do we increase access to affordable bank accounts? How do we think about things like policy to sustain the work? And so our work is in over 100 cities and counties, big and small. And it's really looking at how local governments can take the wonderful work of community partners and give it the scope and the funding it deserves.
So I'm going to turn it on you. Just tell us about your career path. How did you get into your current role with the City of Tulsa?
Yeah, so up until last year, I've spent my career in Tulsa's nonprofit social services sector, implementing different pilot and demonstration programs, testing out ways to improve social services and policy to really focus on breaking that cycle of intergenerational poverty. And I was working on a few different asset building initiatives around 2010, 2011, when a grant opportunity came out to replicate a tax time match savings program that had been successful in New York. And the funding was federal funding through the Social Innovation Fund, but it came through a funding intermediary, which happened to be the mayor's office of New York City under Michael Bloomberg. And our grant coordinator, since we were replicating one of their programs, our grant coordinator was none other than Tamara Lindsay. And so, yeah, I know, small world, right? We've known each other for a while. Uh, Tamara's actually known me longer than I've had my daughter, so she was around during all of that, all of those life-changing moments for me. But yeah, so I got to work with Tamara and several others within the mayor's office that then are now at CFE Fund, and we spent 3 really solid years working together on the Save USA program, getting to know the ins and outs of asset building and trying to replicate this program across the country. Um, when that program wrapped up, New York was going through a mayoral transition. Tamara and I, though, we stayed in touch. And, I feel like she's a Tulsan at heart, even though she lives in the Big Apple. She really would fit well here in Tulsa. Keep trying to get her to move. Hasn't worked yet, but I'll keep plugging. But yeah, so as CFE took shape, we stayed in touch. We were both really convinced that embedding financial empowerment within city government made sense in Tulsa, and so they kept doing what they were doing, building out CFE fund, working with other cities. In Tulsa, I stayed in the nonprofit sector, but I was talking to anyone and everyone that would listen as to why we should go this route here in town. And finally, when our current mayor GT Bynum took office in 2016, we were able to get some traction and connect CFE fund with some members of Mayor Bynum's original cabinet. But it's government, right? It takes a while for things to move, and so it wasn't until about 2018 that Tulsa got the chance to apply for the City Start grant and really start the ball rolling. During that process, during the City Start grant and the launch of our Financial Empowerment Center, I was serving as a community partner representative, still in the nonprofit space. And then in 2022, the city got the chance to work on the Financial Empowerment Cities grant through CFE Fund, which was to launch the Office of Financial Empowerment, to really create this office within the city structure. And the chief resilience officer, Crystal Reyes, at the time reached out to me and said, "Hey, I've got this opportunity. Let's have coffee." And the rest is history, right? We're writing the rest of the story right now. And so I'm really excited to be here to talk to you all about this. This has been a full circle moment for me, seeing this work come to fruition in Tulsa and being able to be part of it. So, kind of like Tamara said, it was just serendipity, right? Like the job opened, I was here, and now I get to do this cool work every single day.
Yeah, what a great story. I mean, you have kind of an atypical path into government, but I love that you had a passion and a vision for how government could play more of a role in addressing generational poverty and sort of helped the government figure out how to innovate in that space. I mean, those are the stories we love to tell at GovLove about how people are thinking about government in a different way.
Yeah.
So I am very excited to hear more about the work that you are doing in Tulsa, and we are going to do that. But first, Tamara, I know that a key initiative of the CE Fund that you've done in the city of Tulsa and in other places is to support these municipal financial empowerment centers, or FECs. So tell us, what are FECs and why CFE Fund is supporting cities with this work?
Sure. I mean, I'll first say that I've told Janae whenever she runs for office, I'll be her campaign manager. So watch out for that.
You guys are kind of like a local gov power couple. You supported each other in your careers.
I love that.
How to solve problems. Like, yes, that's your next move. Like, running for office.
You heard it here first. Janae's running for office.
Okay.
So the financial empowerment centers really are looking at supporting residents in accessing free one-on-one financial counseling. This program began in New York City in 2008. We had this realization that people with low incomes just did not have access to good financial planning. People had a lot of questions. There were classes, there were workshops, but this is such a vulnerable topic that the one-on-one factor was really important. And so they launched in 2008 in New York City. And the focus of financial empowerment centers are a couple of things. One-on-one financial counseling through a really well-trained financial counselor. It's a public service. As someone can expect certain things in a city government, it is now a public service free of charge. But the other part of financial empowerment centers that are truly appealing to local governments is that they can be embedded in just about every sort of social service program. And oftentimes someone accessing social services, they're coming to that social service because of financial instability. So if you think of someone that is in a workforce program, financial stability, getting a bank account, getting to talk to someone about how to budget is really crucial for them to stay in that program. If you have someone looking to be a first-time home buyer, a credit score is crucial for you to get an affordable mortgage. And so being able to talk to someone. And so local governments really started to see, for everything that we're doing, being able to add in and integrate someone that our residents can speak to about their financial needs is not only helpful for the residents, but oftentimes improves the work that we're doing in workforce or in housing, keeps people able to manage their mortgage, might help someone if they have a flat tire, pay for that flat tire to get to the job in the workforce program. So financial empowerment centers are now in 32 cities and counties across the country, and way more that are in the pipeline as well. And I'm really excited to say that when you think about who we're serving, it's about folks that are earning in the low 30s annual income. They have saved $49 million over the course of the financial empowerment centers. And this number is staggering to me, is $242 million in debt reduced over the last 10 to 12 years. And it's debt reduced by negotiation with credit card companies. It's debt reduced based on budgets. And so it's just exciting to see that people have access to this type of service and that local governments recognize how it can improve what they're already doing.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thanks. I want to hear more about how this is working in Tulsa. But Janae, maybe first we can go back. I know you received a grant through CFE Fund to do some planning and create a blueprint for economic prosperity. Yeah. So talk to us about that work and how the blueprint is helping Tulsa improve household financial stability.
Yeah, absolutely. So through CFE Fund's City Start grant opportunity, Tulsa was able to do what you just said. We created this blueprint for economic stability back in 2018. That was really our first foray into government-led financial empowerment work here in Tulsa. And it gave us the opportunity, that grant and that experience gave us the opportunity to really gather and analyze data to see what are the major issues in Tulsa, kind of what's impacting people, what's working well, what's not working well, who are the players, and just build that landscape scan um, to really formulate a plan. And what can the city do to address the barriers getting in the way of Tulsans' ability to build financial stability and resilience? And now that I said the word resilience, I should probably back up a little bit, because we in Tulsa at the same time, we had actually just published our Resilient Tulsa strategy before we moved on to the blueprint, and it all folds up really nicely under that. And so um, Mayor Bynum really identified the Resilient Tulsa process and then ultimately the Resilient Tulsa strategy as a key tool in addressing shocks such as disasters. We're in Tornado Alley, we get floods, we had an ice storm yesterday. We get it all here in Tulsa weather-wise. But then there's also stressors on the community, and this was pre-COVID, but it was so helpful to have this plan in place, right, when a global pandemic hit. But then also just looking at other stressors like social, economic, and racial disparity. And I will say racial equity is one of Tulsa's core challenges that, underlie one of our core underlying resilience challenges, I should say. And the Resilient Tulsa strategy really addresses things ranging from economic inequality to disaster preparedness and access to quality education and jobs. So, as you can see, one of the pillars of that resilient strategy plan is economic stability. And so that's where the blueprint really fit in, and it made sense for us to apply for the City Start opportunity. In our blueprint, we're really focused on, stabilizing individual financial health, providing financial education and counseling, which is where the FEC falls in, really thinking about connectivity to better paying jobs, and focusing on supporting local entrepreneurship. We know small businesses are so important and so impactful to wealth building in our community. And so several new initiatives were launched because of the blueprint, including our Financial Empowerment Center, which you just heard about from Tamara. We actually launched that in December of 2020. What an amazing time to launch a in-person, one-on-one financial counseling program in the middle of a global pandemic. But we we, go big or go home, right? Like, why not? If we can pull it off then, we can pull it off anytime. And we did. That was really our first tangible, large scale initiative, right? That said, the City of Tulsa is invested in financial empowerment, and we're doing it through this public service, which is the Financial Empowerment Center. Tamara kind of stole my thunder with her numbers because she got to report out on the big, broad, like national numbers. But I will echo that the really cool thing about the Financial Empowerment Center is that it works, right? And the numbers don't lie. We have been in operation for 3 years now, and we have served almost 800 Tulsans. Our counselors have worked with almost 800 Tulsans in 3 years. And our savings, so they've increased savings by close to $300,000 and reduced just under $850,000 of debt. I mean, that's massive. That's
Oh,
life
impressive.
changing,
Yeah,
right?
those are great numbers.
Yeah. So the last I'll wrap up the answer to this question with the, launching the FEC, seeing that success, seeing how the community rallied around us and just really bought into the effort. We then went on to launch our Office of Financial Empowerment in 2023, which is bringing it all together under one focused umbrella within the city structure so that my team and I have the capacity to really move the change along, right? My favorite way to explain this is, especially as someone who has spent so much time as a nonprofit leader in our community, we have a super collaborative environment here in Tulsa. We all want to work together. We're all driven towards a shared mission. And there are so many times where nonprofits get together and there's excitement, there's momentum, and we get a shared goal and we get an initiative planned, and then we all go back to our desk and we have our real jobs and the momentum stops, right? There's nobody that has the capacity to continue moving that along. And that's what the OFE can do, right? We can be the ones to do the follow ups, to set the next meeting, to remind everybody what we said we were going to do, to gather resources and really be the catalyst of change to make sure that Tulsa continues growing and we continue building that financial resiliency in our community.
So you really started to touch on it. I'm interested in how your work with the OFE or through the Financial Empowerment Center connects with other municipal services, like municipal courts or utility assistance or anything else.
I think that is one of the most valuable parts of this work is being internal to the city and being able to just go across the hall and have that conversation and say, how can we work together, right? So you hit on two of our main integrations right now. So we have connected with both our municipal courts and our utilities billing. I'll start with the utilities one. We we were looking at the data and we showed, we had we had a large number of Tulsans who took the first step of saying, okay, I can't make my payment. I have a delinquent bill. So can I set up a payment plan, which is an option for any customer. But then they would subsequently break that payment plan.
Mhm.
So what we've done is our utilities billing team will run a report every week that says, okay, who has a payment plan that they've broken, which means they've either missed a payment or the payment was late or they made a partial payment, right? They didn't follow through on that payment plan. So who's broken a payment plan and has a balance between $200 and $500? And they get contacted, they get a letter that says, hey, we saw you missed a payment, don't worry, we have this financial empowerment center. If you talk to them, they can help you reset a payment plan and get on the path to potentially earn an account credit. And so what we're asking folks to do is come in, meet with a financial empowerment center counselor and really look at their financial situation, right? What is a realistic monthly payment that they can make to get this delinquent balance paid and then stay current with their ongoing bills? So they get this flexibility that you wouldn't otherwise get to reset the payment plan and really stretch it out to what makes sense for your personal situation. And then once they've made 2 consecutive on-time full payments on that new plan, they actually can earn up to a $150 account credit to really, and the idea behind that is, we're building these behavioral changes, we're setting them up with the resources and skills to budget and prepare and be ready to make those payments going forward, but then also giving a little added boost to just get over that hump, right? That $150 helps either knock down the existing delinquent debt or, add a credit for future months. That one, we're still working through some changes. We're iterating, seeing what's best going forward long term. How do we scale that? The take up rate hasn't been as high as we had anticipated. We also had, in the middle of launching that integration, the city was able to begin accepting the federal low income water housing assistance program dollars. So there's a lot of overlap there with the folks that would qualify for this integration. Also, were able to receive kind of immediate assistance through that federal program. So that one's still kind of in the air. We're working out what that really looks like. But the other one with municipal courts, we have seen some really fast successes with this, and it's been exciting. We have 3 municipal judges here in the city of Tulsa, and they and the court administrative team have been in on this since the beginning, really helping develop this partnership and figuring out how best to serve Tulsans. So we've got this ability that when someone comes into the court and they're assessed fines and fees, the judge can refer them to the FEC if they feel like there's going to be if that's a barrier, if that's a financial burden to have to pay these fines and fees. And so if someone chooses to work with the Financial Empowerment Center, they need to complete 3 sessions with a counselor. And in those sessions, they can, again, work on whatever they want to work on. The vast majority are working on debt reduction because that's what they're trying to do, is reduce this debt they owe. After 3 sessions, they go back to the judge and they say, okay, I'm working with the counselor. I've had these 3 sessions, and the judge will waive up to $250 of their fines and fees.
Got it.
And then subsequent sessions, if they want to continue working with a counselor, subsequent sessions, can earn them an additional $100 off of their fines and fees each time. We have a 43% take-up rate on this. As someone who's worked in social services, that's a really big take-up rate. And so of the people that the judges have referred, 43% have set up, initial at least one session with a counselor. We've seen 9 people already get their fines and fees waived for a total of $5,300 waived. Okay, that's an average of almost $600 a person. This is really impacting people. We have one story. We have one client who was brave enough to share her story, and she had almost $600 waived, which was the whole amount that she owed. Because of that, she was able to get her driver's license back, and she has actually continued working with her FEC counselor and reports feeling more, financially confident. She's no longer living paycheck to paycheck, and she actually just gave us an update that she's now working with her counselor on a savings plan because she's wants to get ready to purchase a home. So these are just helping people get those practices in place and have that accountability partner in the counselor to help them stay on track is so beneficial to really, push you towards that success and really make those life-changing financial goals and meet those goals.
Yeah. Thank you. Janae, you're really sharing some important personal stories here and really selling the outcomes that can come from this kind of program. Tamara, I want to turn back to you because some of our listeners might be a little skeptical, thinking, is this really the role of government? The services that you're talking about really seem to fit more in the social services arena. So, what financial empowerment opportunities are unique to local government?
Yeah, I have to say, there are a few times that it's pure magic when I go on site visits, and it's when you talk to cities that say local government doesn't do this, and you start explaining what it is, and there's sort of light bulb is going off in someone's head, and years on, they say, I can't imagine running local government without financial empowerment and financial stability work. And I think there are a number of reasons why. Nonprofits, financial stability work isn't new. Nonprofits have been doing it for decades and decades and decades. Where we see the difference is some of the things that Janae is talking about. The convening power of local government is immense. Bringing players together, understanding what folks are doing, and to be able to do coordination to make sure that, community partners are able to focus in on what they are meant to focus in on, but then can do referrals to other partners that can help on other sides of what a client needs. So the convening power is huge, and one reason that we really look at local government. I often hear people talk about how when we come into a city, there's a recognition that there's a lot of siloed work happening. And one of the biggest things that we do in just about every program and approach we have is convening stakeholders to talk about the work. And sometimes people say, I've talked to this person on the phone, but never met this person, or our organizations work together and we've never talked. So the silo effect and being able to have convening is one of the key things. I think the other thing which really played out during COVID is the funding power of local government. So many of our financial empowerment center cities tapped ARPA funding. ARPA, I've read the rules, late night, you didn't have anything to do during lockdown, so you read ARPA rules. And nowhere did it say financial empowerment. It did not say financial empowerment center, but everything it was talking about was about this work. And so to date, we've had financial empowerment centers tap about $5.3 million in ARPA funding, which is, again, for sustainability work, for continued efforts to increase efforts, so funding power. And I think the other big thing of why we look at local government is just about everything local government does is how do you make a resident's life better for the most part. And financial stability is key. And the creativity of financial empowerment is something that makes me really happy, is things what Janae is talking about. Court integration. Who would have thought that there's another avenue to fines and fees, right? Integrating with a court to be able to say, go to a financial counseling center. Who would have thought, and we're not new to this, but the utilities work, being able to connect people who are in arrears. Janae didn't talk about another effort that she had in Tulsa, which is providing financial counseling to folks receiving rental assistance during COVID, the ERA funding. And what we've heard in that effort is local government that was providing the funding for the rental assistance and the host program that was distributing their funding now having another partner to support their client, because the rental assistance mitigated short-term issues and the crisis was still going on. But the idea of this financial counseling integration allowed clients to be able to go talk about things and start to put a plan in place to hopefully not have to return to cash assistance or find more stable home environments because they have thought through housing affordability as well. So I think for us, the reason we are 12 years old, the reason why we have 100 plus cities and counties in the mix is that more and more local governments are seeing that in order to really effectively support residents across a diverse range of efforts like housing and workforce and reentry, you have to add in a layer of financial stability work to really boost what's being done in those arenas.
Okay, Tamara, I'm sold. Let's get some more cities connected to financial empowerment work. What opportunities are currently available through CFE funds that might appeal to our listeners?
Yeah, we have a few. So we actually have a Financial Empowerment Center Academy opportunity that enrollment deadline is March 1st. There's going to be an info webinar on January 25th, which is in 2 days, and then February 14th. So if you have nothing to do on Valentine's Day, please join this info webinar. FEC Academy is a 2-phase process. The first phase is to join this academy to learn about all these different types of steps that go into putting together your FEC. And then phase 2 is actually tapping into implementation match funds to be able to build what you planned and launch the Financial Empowerment Center. We also have ongoing opportunities around our access to banking work. And so I would encourage people to check out our website, cfefund.org, sign up for our newsletter. Our communications person will be very happy if we get more and more people signing up for our newsletter and be able to get information about our grants that we have a number during the course of the year.
And you have a new initiative that's focused on emergency financial empowerment. I'm very interested in that. So can you explain more about that program and why you're exploring that new approach?
Sure, and this speaks to what what local governments are starting to see as opportunities. We have mayors who want to connect financial counseling to home loan programs. We have mayors who are recognizing that if you're talking about economic development, you have to talk about individual economic development. So you have a strong workforce for the businesses that are coming into a city. And during COVID, we launched a program that was looking to provide sort of high touch referral services for folks that were facing a loss in income or facing a loss of a job. And we connected folks to financial empowerment resources. So people were able to call a number, get to talk to someone called a financial navigator, and get access to referrals to things that they were needing. And one of the huge lessons we learned was that in emergency preparedness and response efforts, financial stability isn't necessarily front and center. There are things that happen in terms of someone trying to figure out, how do I pay my credit card bill if my home is destroyed? Or what do I do if it's a late payment and I have late charges? And people need that sort of support. And so our very exciting new emergency financial empowerment effort is to work with offices of emergency management or emergency management entities in a local government to have this work be front and center in their planning. When cities have monthly meetings or quarterly meetings about emergency preparedness, we want financial empowerment and stability conversations to be at the table. How are we going to support someone when this happens? We also want to be able to create a network of community partners that can be tapped to be the resources when an emergency strikes. And so there's not sort of, let's quickly put something together, but let's have this sort of financial empowerment network come together to support the local government as part of response efforts. And so we're going to be looking at preparedness, how to include financial empowerment supports during preparedness, and then also planning for and response efforts. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, there was a really horrible tornado in Nashville, and one of the first places the local government reached out to was the Financial Empowerment Center to say, can you help our folks? There's a lot of issues that they're facing. And that was a real sign to us that financial empowerment centers and the financial empowerment work is not just a sort of side project of local government, but can be part of the sort of daily response and be part of a mayor and administration's toolkit as a standard practice, that if we want to support our folks, financial empowerment work can be a part of it. So we're excited. We had just received a number of RFPs for this first cohort. So there'll be more to report on in about a year. But we got a lot of RFPs, which shows that we've sort of hit a good spot where people are recognizing this type of work needs to be embedded in emergency response efforts.
Okay, well, good work. Can't wait to hear more about it over the next year. Janae, what advice do you have for our listeners who might be interested in doing more with financial empowerment in their cities?
Yeah, do it. First of all, I'll just say do it. I think to get started, it's really about listening to your community, right? What's working well, who or what organizations are making this success possible, what's not working, what barriers is the community facing to achieving financial resilience, and really rally those interested and motivated partners. This work is really about building and leveraging relationships, right? So it's who's already doing the work, who should be at the table, and really bringing those folks together. Um, get the attention of influencers in your community. Who has the ear of the decision makers? And, weave the benefits of this municipally led, that's a fun word to try to say in the morning, this city led financial empowerment into any and all conversations, right? That's just keep it at the forefront of the conversation. Why should the city be a leader in this effort? And then I would say lean on other cities. That's been a huge benefit of being part of the CFE network, is having connections to other cities at all points in the journey, right? Some have been doing it for 10 plus years, some are newer than we are. But being able to pick up the phone and call someone in New York, or being able to call someone in Jackson, Tennessee, right? Neither one of those cities look anything like Tulsa, but I've learned so much from my colleagues in both of those cities, and so many others. I think just reach out, call us, ask us what we've done, what's worked, what hasn't, and brainstorm about what to try. We're all in this together, and I have not met anyone yet who hasn't wanted to share their story about their city and what's worked and what hasn't worked, right? And helping others not hit the same pitfalls they have. So that would be my advice, is really just reach out to those of us doing the work, and we'd love to talk to you because we can learn from you as well.
That's great. On that note, we really appreciate both of you sharing your stories about this work. Is there anything else that either of you would like to share before we wrap up?
I'll just add, if people are intrigued, want to learn more, reach out to Janae, but please reach out to me as well. We are happy to have conversations to explain our work. This is, I think, a really important time for the financial empowerment efforts, and we would welcome the chance to connect and talk, and even if it's just to learn more.
Agreed. Awesome. And if you are looking to travel, come see us in Tulsa. We'd love to show you around.
Okay, open invitation. You heard it here. Call Janae. All right, well, thank you so much to both of you for joining the GovLove podcast. Janae, as we wrap up, if you could be the GovLove DJ, what song would you pick as our exit music for this episode?
So Tamara's laughing because this is the question that stressed me out the most, Lauren. I'm such an overthinker, and I spent way too much time on this, but I did land on a song. So
is it Madonna? Is it?
Oh, it is not. Oh my gosh! Now see.
Okay, sorry. Spoiler.
Now we need a Madonna song. Okay, well, if you find a good Madonna song, please feel free to use that instead of this. But I was going to go with "I've Been Everywhere" by Johnny Cash, because I did a spreadsheet on this, you guys. So out of the 89 places that Johnny Cash mentions in that song, CFE is currently working with 19 of them, or 21%. So.
Stop it.
That's our Janae.
I love this song. Any of you other communities who are not currently working with CFE
get on
funds, that is your motivation. Get on it. Okay, great pick. Thank you, Janae. So that ends our episode for today. I want to thank so much our guests, Tamara Lindsay and Janae Bradford, for sharing their work in government-led financial empowerment. And good luck to both of you as you continue on this important journey, and hopefully some of our listeners will come along as well. We want to thank our audience for listening. You can reach us at elgl.org/GovLove or on social media at GovLove Podcast. This has been GovLove, a podcast about local government.
I'm a killer. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. I breathe the mountain air, man. Travel, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Boston, Charleston, Dayton, Louisiana, Washington, Houston, Kingston, Texarkana, Monterey, Faraday, Santa Fe, Tallapoosa, Glen Rock, Black Rock.